Welcome back. Time for round two. As you can see, we are no longer round. It's gone all kinds of oval and everything else. I was afraid we might get some cracks. I've got lines here, but they're not cracks. They're just some superficial lines, as far as I can tell. So, time to true it up and make it a bit finer. By the way, it's been about 2.5, 3 years. Or to give you a reference, this was done a little bit pre-COVID, and we are now right at the end of COVID. So, let's see how it goes. From this angle, you can really see how out of true it is. Alright, I'm going to start thinning down the inside, and this shouldn't take too long. Except for the weight, I kind of like this method. Alright, the inside is turned, the outside is turned. I've got a relatively thin wall. It's somewhere around maybe 3/8 thick, which could be a lot thinner, but I'm just never that confident when I get down to that thin. So I'm going to just hit this with a parting tool a little bit to bring it down a little flatter on the bottom, and then I'm going to do some sanding, and then I'll part it off and finish the sanding. Part it off, reverse chuck it, do some more sanding the other way, I think out of just sanding things down until it was more shiny, but I want to do something more with this. Okay, reverse chucked. I always get a little nervous using this because it's pushing out from the inside, and I always want to over tighten, and I know I'm just going to blow it out. So I'm going to start by sanding the bottom, and then I'm going to work up to just sanding a couple of these little rough spots here on the edge, and then just go through the whole process. looks nice and shiny with the 400 grit. I'm going to get a clean paper towel now, and I'm going to put a thin coat of stain on here. So I have the stain that I thinned out the other day. It's basically halfway thinned. It's really diluted. And it's actually kind of a dark stain, but once it goes on, it ends up being kind of light. I tested it on the cutoff. Looks like it should be pretty good. Just going to pop this off and get the rim. What do you think of that? It's interesting how it goes from light to dark, depending on if I'm going across the grain or with the grain. Alright, we'll let that sit for a few minutes, buff it off, and then we'll finish up the sanding and finishing. It's dried, I buffed it off, put a little bit of quick setting adhesive into these just to make sure these cracks don't become full-size cracks. And now I'm just going to keep sanding with finer and finer grits just to get this down as smooth as possible. So if you're unfamiliar with Shine Juice, it is just a diluted shellac, and you can find lots and lots of recipes for it on YouTube and everywhere else. And I'm starting off with sanding sealer because that's what the video I saw said to do. Although I think it's funny because sanding sealer is just diluted shellac. However, we're going to put the sanding sealer on, let that dry, and then we'll keep going with the process. Alright, we're ready for the Shine Juice. Like I said, it's just a dilute shellac actually. Of course, all shellac is actually diluted. It's hard, and then you put it in denatured alcohol to soften it up, make a nice liquid. At least that's the way my grandpa did it. I buy it in a can already set up. And then this is even further diluted. More times, and once I do it a couple more times, I'll show you the finished product. Thank you for joining me on the Peaceful Woodturner.